Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about Lamine Yamal. It's going to be very Lamine Yamal focused because many of you guys had questions about Lamine Yamal since his performance against Girona was amazing. So I am going to be answering your guys' questions for today's video. If you guys want to have top priority and have your questions answered all the time through the season, all you do have to do is sign up to the membership that I do have on this channel. And so this video is going to be a fun one and I hope you guys do enjoy it. So we do have two questions that are very similar. So I'm going to be combining these two. One is coming from Carbon Owner, the other one is coming from Starboy-K4Q, and they have asked, should Lamine Yamal be benched sometimes or getting his minutes reduced like being subbed off around the 65th to 70th minute for his safety? And then Starboy asked, Kevin, do you think we need a top right winger who can reduce the playing time of Lamine Yamal? So it's ultimately going to be depending on the match. Like for example, if Barcelona are winning 2-1 by the 80th minute, it wouldn't make any sense to take away Lamine Yamal. Taking off Lamine Yamal in that type of situation wouldn't make any sense. Barcelona would need his work on the field to make sure that Barcelona end up coming out with 3 points or go into the next round. Lamine Yamal is very important and he is a player that can change the match within a span of 5 to 10 minutes. Now if Barcelona were winning 4-0 and we have 20 minutes left in the game, then yes, it would be making much more sense to take out Lamine Yamal and put out a different alternative, right? Because his services is not going to be in such demand. And I get it, right? I understand why some people might be nervous because Lamine Yamal is playing a lot, especially because of the type of demand that is needed by Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick wants these players to be pressuring all the time, making runs, defending, attacking, basically run around all over the pitch. So in some capacity, yes, some precautionary measures have to take place for Yamal. And as of now, the current situation with Yamal is that he gets taken off between the 87th minute and the 90th minute to be replaced by Pau Victor. Now, what definitely does not help is the fact that Hansi Flick does not really have a alternative on the right wing position for Yamal. Now, I know that we just referenced Pau Victor who can replace him, or maybe somebody like Rafinha can also play on the right wing position, maybe even Ferran Torres, but we do need a player that has the exact same profile of Lamine Yamal, a right winger that is known for ball carrying, dribbling the ball very well, making key passes. We don't really have that as a alternative to Lamine Yamal, which is why it is hard to take Yamal out. So I do think that for the rest of these next 7 to 8 months of the season, I don't see Yamal really coming off very early, and I do hope that by the time we do go into the next summer, Javier Tebas can be very flexible with us and we can find solutions for Yamal so we don't have to use him all the time. Two solutions that I think would work very well would be to either use Tony Fernandez, who is a player in La Masia who has been playing amazing on the right wing position and can also play centrally, or if not, we put our bets on Bernardo Silva, somebody who is 31 years old and has the exact same profile of Lamine Yamal. He can be a great short-term backup to Yamal. So now moving on towards our next question, and that is coming from Gabriel Neostrom 5740, and he asked, can you elaborate on how Tebas influences Barcelona's ability to sign players? Is he the one making individual decisions on these matters, or is there a governing body responsible for this? So I'm going to try and make this very simple. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, it was reported that Barcelona's salary limit has been raised by La Liga. We went from having a salary limit of 204 million euros to 426 million euros. It's a huge boost, which means that Barcelona can spend much more on their squad. Now, the reason why we do have these salary caps or these salary limits, it is because Javier Tebas believes that every club in his league needs to have a salary cap and not overspend. Because when Javier Tebas was first elected as the president of La Liga back in 2013, what he found was there was a collective debt in La Liga of around 2 billion euros. It was a lot of money, and Javier Tebas saw this as a huge problem. More than half of that was owed to the Spanish government by the clubs, and there was also a lot of money that was due to the current and post players, also with coaches, the staff, and suppliers. Javier Tebas did not like this, and so what he ended up doing was implementing a strict financial control on every club, meaning that everybody was given a limit to spend on transfer fees and salaries based off the revenue that you do generate every year. So Javier Tebas was able to make up this idea along with his team, and they said, okay, for Barcelona, they're allowed to spend X amount of money. For Girona, they're allowed to spend X amount of money. Or Real Madrid, they're allowed to spend X amount of money. Everybody is different. It all depends on the amount of revenue you do generate. But the problem that I have been having in the past year about Javier Tebas is the fact that Barcelona is one of the biggest revenue generating clubs in the world, if not in the top 2, alongside with Real Madrid. It has been reported that Barcelona's total revenue right now, it is around 850 million euros. We can also confirm this by another source who works very closely with Joan Laporta and Deco. He stated about 48 hours ago that Barcelona is very close on generating 1.2 billion euros in income. So knowing this, I'm like, okay, if Barcelona is really bringing in this much money, why is Barcelona still having a lot of trouble signing loanees? Why are we having so much trouble trying to buy a player for around 25 to 30 million euros? It doesn't make any sense. Yes, I understand that we also cannot afford players of around 110 million euros, right? We're not in that type of limit yet, according to Javier Tebas. But you also cannot say that Barcelona cannot afford loanees, or they cannot afford any player under the range of 30 million euros. It just does not make any sense to me. I think that more flexibility needs to happen here for FC Barcelona. We are super restricted. It's kind of like saying you're given $100 to go to the store and go buy groceries, but either your father or your uncle or your mom, whoever, right, says, okay, I'm giving you $100 to go spend in groceries, but you're only allowed to spend around $25 from this $100. You're like, what? Why? You gave me $100. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you only limiting me to $25 of this $100 that I do have? Let me spend more. Otherwise, why even go to the store in the first place, aka the market? Why even go to the market in the first place if I cannot even spend this money? So that's basically the whole problem that Barcelona have had with La Liga and Javier Tebas. So now let's move on towards the next question coming from GoGoC90, and he said, if Barcelona should go for Musiala next season, how much do you think they should spend on the player? I do think that around 95 million euros plus 10 million euros in variables would be enough. It would be considered as Barcelona's first big transfer, and one big statement coming from Joan Laporta. It would literally be Joan Laporta's biggest transfer ever in his history. Keep in mind that the elections are coming in 2026, and Joan Laporta has yet to sign a big time player, and I do think that in the summer of 2025 that has to be the year, and that player has to be Musiala. With the Nike deal being close to completion, with the Camp Nou finally reopening, with a revenue that is going to be recovered by Barca Studios of around 60 million euros, it is very much achievable. Bayern would also have their biggest departure in their history, and it would be Barcelona's fourth most expensive operation ever, right underneath Coutinho, Dembele, and Griezmann, and just on top of Neymar, who would cost 12 million euros more than Neymar when Neymar was 21 years old. But now the question is, would Javier Tebas permit us to sign Musiala? Can he give us the salary space? And point number two, would Musiala even want to leave Bayern next summer and go to FC Barcelona? Now moving on towards the next question, and that is coming from Arsalan Khan-2006, and he has asked, can Barcelona sign few players in the January transfer window after Barcelona returns to the 1-1 rule? If so, then which position do we need to strengthen in January? So I do think that Barcelona could sign in January if they return to the 1-1 rule, but there is not really a lot of opportunity for Barcelona to do anything in January. I do think that if Barcelona were to spend anything in January, it would be a waste of funds, because the amount of free transfers we could have 5 months later from that date is insanity. I would much rather wait, and for Barcelona to stack their funds, get the free transfers that they want in the summer of 2025, and just bet on our current squad, because our current squad right now is super competitive. The only way I can see Barcelona buying any player in January is if we go through an injury crisis, and that's basically it. And I doubt that's gonna happen, because with the new training methods that Hansi Flick has had with the players, they look much stronger, much healthier, much mentally stable, and everything looks all right. This team is very much competitive. I don't think that we need to make any tweaks right now for this season. Moving on towards the next question coming from _White, and he has asked, nobody knows the future, but do you really think Yamal and Ansu on the wings will work? I still feel a winger is really needed. And then comes Musiala, who I really think Barcelona should go for next summer. P.S. I don't want to believe the news by random reporters who say Musiala will be the bomb signing because Bayern will charge way too much. But still, if we get Musiala next summer and Kimmich, Todd Davis for free, it would be an outstanding team. So I do want to make one thing very clear. There has been no reports about Musiala being interested in Barcelona or Barcelona being interested in Musiala. We haven't heard anything. It doesn't exist. The only bomb signing type of report that we've heard is about Florian Wirtz maybe going to Barcelona. We have heard reports about Deco and Joan Laporta being very interested in Florian Wirtz. But the thing is that his signing is not much as needed compared to someone like, let's say, Erling Haaland or Musiala, who can strengthen the striker position or the left wing position. Florian Wirtz is a true 10, and we already have too many 10s like Fermin, Pedri, and Olmo as options. Even Rafinha can play there. This whole thing about Musiala going to FC Barcelona has only been created by me. I'm just creating this story on my own. I'm very optimistic about this operation because I do think that there's enough reasons there that exist and that's valid that allows us to talk about this and this operation making complete sense. The reasons are there, and I want to create a campaign. So I'm not trying to be out here trying to lie to you guys. I don't want you guys thinking that, you know, I'm trying to put out fake news out there. I'm not trying to do that. That is not my intention. I just want to create a campaign to put pressure that Musiala should be the player that Barcelona should go for. But as of now, there has not been any stories, no insider news about anything regarding these two parties. It's just having Musiala at Barcelona would really complete the squad. I can dream of a team that contains Yamal, Musiala, and Pedri. That's just one hell of a team. Pure creativity, pure goals, and pure dominance. Now, as for Ansu Fati is going to be having his chances to play on the wings. I'm very excited on his return. It was recently reported coming from Cadena Ser that states the player who has surprised Hansi Flick the most in training sessions so far has been Ansu Fati. So I'm very optimistic about his return, but I do think that he is going to be tried out as a number 9 and to replace Lewandowski because he still has the instinct for goal, the timing in his runs. He can hit the ball very well. He has not lost those type of techniques. Yes, he has lost some sort of explosiveness. I understand that because of his injury history, but he has not lost his power for goals. And so I do think that Ansu Fati will be playing as a number 9, not necessarily on the wings. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.